So let's dive into our first topic today, guys. After a quick word from America's #1 sportsbook, and as you know, it's always FanDuel. Right now, new customers on FanDuel can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Jay, Dustin, G, I'm not sure if you guys have seen the line for the Browns versus Chargers game on Sunday. And I'm not going to show it to you yet. But Jay, just yes or no, have you seen the line?
I have not seen the line.
Dustin, have you seen the line?
No, I did not.
I'm not a big line.
I'm a huge line guy, but
I know
this morning
are.
I didn't look because I saw your text and you
Yes.
said don't look. So I didn't.
G. Bush, have
actually
you
did
seen
not
it?
look.
Nope.
So that means you three are going in blind. Jay, I'll start with you. We'll go around the horn, then I'll tell you the line.
You want me to guess what it is or what I would set it at?
Well, you can guess, but the question is, should the Browns, in your opinion, be favored or underdogs in this matchup at home against the Chargers?
They should be underdogs for sure.
And what do you think the line would be? We'll go down the horn, then I'll give you the right answer.
Usually 3 points is the advantage.
You
for
get
being
3
at
for home, yeah.
And so I would say if I'm going to look at this objectively and they're going to play on a neutral field, I would say that the Chargers should be a 6-point favorite. And the fact that the Browns being at home kicks a field goal their way, I would say 3 points, maybe 2.5 points, because I know they like to go half points. I would say 2.5 points underdog is where I would put the Browns.
So you have Browns plus 2.5.
What are
Dustin,
the Chargers? 4 and 3?
4 and 3.
4 and 3.
Dustin,
They've been a
what would
mixed
you
bag.
say?
They're hard for me to figure out.
I would say Browns minus. I think the Browns will be favored in this game. I have not looked. I promise.
Oh, you think they're favorites?
I think they're slight favorites.
Oh.
I'd say Browns minus 3.
Browns minus
Wow,
3.
really?
Jay had Browns plus 2.5. G, what is your answer? Then I'll give you the right answer. Then we'll discuss.
I think he's thinking Browns plus are 17-point favorite.
Brown.
I don't think the Browns are a home dog. Have you watched the Chargers play? They're not quite that.
6.
Yeah, but I've watched us play.
Understood, but did you watch us play this week?
I did.
Yeah, okay.
The tide is changing. Watch. I don't know what to say. I got the Browns favored by 6 whole points.
What?
Six whole points. And people is loving it, right? If you see the offensive line, you see the receivers is running around now, all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, this was what the problem was.
So what you're saying is if you were taking bets, if I said right now I'm taking the Browns, I got $1,000 on the Browns.
Right?
I'm going to take the Chargers. You got to give me 6 points. You're going to do that? Because now it's real money.
He just said he would.
Yeah.
So you
You lay the 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to win by a touchdown.
Bro.
That's
that's a couple field goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what have you seen other than last week? I mean, and I know it's the most recent. It's the most recent body of work. Here's my fear.
All that matters is
this
last
is
week.
what I'm
That's
afraid
it.
of.
We want to know. That's it. We want to know. Moving. Listen.
We are, but you know what? The aura of playing for Jimmy Donovan, I'm telling you guys.
Oh, that was huge.
I'm not going to say, I joked on Monday and said that's why Hamilton dropped that ball. Jimmy's hand snuck in there and knocked that ball out. In reality, here's what I can tell you, just because I've covered these things long enough to know that what's real and what isn't. It made a real difference for all 53 when they stepped on that field. They loved Jimmy to a man. And they were playing to give that game ball to Jim Donovan. That motivation is going to be gone. What is that worth? I don't know. But I can't discount the first 7 games, because I saw them with my own 2 eyes. That's who they are too.
Yeah.
Was this a one-off? I don't know. But I tend to think that it's more likely that it was a one-off.
I don't think so.
But I'll tell you this, the Ravens are a lot better team than the Chargers are.
I saw the Ravens look like the best team in the game. I saw the Ravens the week before looking like, I said,
they'd won 5 in a row. We'd lost 5 in a row.
But Dustin has said it before. He said, when you're in a locker room and you feel like you ain't got no opportunity with the person that's throwing the football, the human nature is,
you just throw your hands up.
You just
right.
Yeah, and he will still be throwing the football. So
and plus Look, this is the funny thing. You ask Joe Flacco. When Joe Flacco came and threw for 300 the first time, a funny thing starts to happen. You start to realize, hey, I used to be out here every play. I used to be out here throwing the ball. I used to be the leader. The guys are looking at me. And now, Dustin, you're like, I don't want to go back to the supporting role. Like, I got an opportunity. I got a shot. Like, you get in the game and somebody else is out and you make a couple of plays, you're thinking of yourself like a starter.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it doesn't happen like immediately, but all of a sudden, when you start making some plays, you start stringing together some games, then you don't consider yourself a backup anymore. And I think that's probably where Jameis is going to be.
Especially because of the circumstances.
Going
it's not
forward,
like he took someone's job that was
Right.
performing poorly,
No.
even though he was. The threat of him losing his job to the original starter is removed.
No, it's gone. And, Jameis has got a guy that's been so vocal and outgoing with his leadership abilities. And now, he's not in the backup role. Okay, so for him and for the players, everything that he's exuding in terms of like his leadership and I know some of it's cheesy or whatever, but like now he's the guy. So it's not like awkward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like this backup quarterback's trying to be the leader of this team. Well, now he is.
And when you see it, like, look, the reason I'm so excited is this. Like, we was begging for 125. Think about it like this.
That was absurd, though.
Think about this. The Ravens game that we talked about with Deshaun Watson in it last year. Remember how people used to elevate that? Remember we talked about it?
Sure.
Like that was like, it was impressive. It's still impressive on the road given the fact he was injured, all that good stuff. But there are throws, and Sean King going to come up and talk about it. I watched it all 22. There are throws that Deshaun Watson ain't never made while he's here. And I saw him in that throw to David Njoku. In the first quarter, he put it up. Like he has the heart and the arm to put it in there. Now he could have threw some picks, but I mean, that ain't like just backup quarterback magic. That's a skill set. Like I can lean on a skill set because the guys that in the locker room is watching films and they breaking it down. And they look at the offensive line like, look how quick he got that ball out here.
If the line on this is Browns a 6-point favorite, everything that I thought I've known in my entire life about Las Vegas,
can you please tell us the line so we can actually know?
Yes. No, I love where the conversation is going, but we got to give the reveal. So Jay had the Chargers being favored. Dustin and G both had the Browns being favored. Jay, you were the closest. The Browns are 1.5-point underdogs on Sunday. The Chargers, slight favorites. You guys talked about the 3-point home edge that Vegas typically gives, which means on a neutral field, maybe the Browns would be favored by a point. But this is close enough that Vegas can see it going either way. Yeah. Dustin and G
Browns will be favored by Sunday, guaranteed.
You think?
Yeah, not by. I mean, it'll be
wait,
like.
How old is that line? Like those lines come out pretty early, don't they?
We updated this morning.
Okay.
Has it moved at all since it came out Monday?
I see +2 right now. Browns.
This was at 9 o'clock this morning, so it may have moved.
But,
first line I saw was +2.5.
And different houses have different lines too.
Correct.
We always use FanDuel lines, America's #1 sports book.
Well, it's because it's the best. Why would we use any of the other lines? Their lines are the best.
FanDuel.com/UCSS.
And Jay, I'm telling you about this.
Man.
It's not just the quarterback. I thought Nick Chubb looked progressively a lot better last week. I seen some bursts. I think he took
Cedric Tillman.
I had to give my credit.
I picked him up on my fantasy team.
Cedric Tillman. I mean, when he caught that slant, I said, when did Cedric Tillman get a gear like that? Yeah. But then I had to go back and look and say, oh, he didn't break stride. The ball was just there. All he had to do was come out of his break, turn his head, got his hand around, and now you can run after catch.
And that's the difference between no yak and a touchdown in some instances.
Yes, it is.
When you catch that receiver on a full go on a slant and he's already got a full head of steam, if the first guy closest to him misses, he might go.
Oh, yeah.
And you give guys an opportunity. Like, it's funny how, life comes at you fast. Like, it's funny how you can go from 1-6 and talking about quarterbacks and top 5 picks and top 3 picks to you see and you look around, you're like, all of a sudden, offensive line, I watched them. I thought they played old school Brown. They looked.
I did too. I thought this was last year's line.
This was it. I mean,
can I ask you guys a question? Dustin, you can answer first, then G. I really want your answer on this. We already think it was wholly egregious that the Browns organization, I'm not going to say it was Stefanski or Haslam, it was the Browns organization. The face that they were putting forward to the fans was, 4 gives us the best chance to win. We all knew otherwise. So that decision and sticking to it was egregious. And then they lost again. We're sticking to it. They lost again. 4's our guy. He gives us the best chance. That was the line. He gives us the best chance to win.
It was never the best chance to win. It was, let's find out if this contract's going to be worth it.
Well, behind the scenes, of course, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But to us, they were lying to us.
Yeah, but we knew it, though.
We knew it. But you know how angry you get when you know you're being lied to? Because now you're not just being lied to. Your intelligence are being insulted.
You're being
we think
gaslit.
you're dumb enough that you're going to believe this.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Does it become even more egregious with each win that the Browns stack up? Because if it was done 2 weeks earlier or 3 weeks earlier, the difference between 2-6 and 4-4
huge
is a canyon. If it had been done 2 weeks earlier, and look at the games that they were losing, they had chances to win both of those games with a little bit of playmaking. For me, I've made the decision. I'm going to get angrier and angrier every game we win because what could have and might have been. Are you that way, or has your anger hit its absolute ceiling already?
Man, how can you be angry at the Cleveland Browns anymore? Because they do this every single year. Every single time we think that they're going to turn the corner, it's like the same old Browns, right? And so I don't think that fans should be angry. They did this. This happened last year.
I shouldn't be
Flacco came
angry
in.
at the Browns organization for lying to me.
Oh, they're going to keep
Why?
lying.
They've lied to you for your whole life.
They're going to lie.
Well, at least the last whatever.
I can't be angry about it.
No, you can be angry about it, but like I'm not naive to think that they're not doing this every time.
Let me see if I can sway you on this. This is a bit outside of the box, but think about it this way.
Because if they finish 11-6, what they're not, let's just say they finish 10-7 and miss the playoffs by one game, my anger is going to peak with that.
But here, everybody really wanted with the Deshaun Watson thing. Everybody wanted the answer, right?
Right.
We this year was trying to figure out the answer to see if this was going to work, how it was going to move, and because you didn't necessarily have to go and make the decision, okay, this is completely horrible, Deshaun's not playing well, let's go another direction. Because it happened by injury, it pretty much let everybody off the hook. Because now you look at it and say, well, look, he got injured. You know how injuries work in this league. We don't know when he's going to come back. We'll figure that out in the offseason.
It bailed him out.
It bailed them completely out. Now Stefanski don't have to answer none of them questions. You don't even have to get to whose idea was it, who did it, who done it. Now you can all you have to do is concentrate on, well, hey, they got another guy in there. He's playing pretty well. And Deshaun's probably not going to come back to the middle of next year, and who knows if this guy continues to play, that's not even a conversation. Like, you know what I mean? It kind of gave you what you needed to see without actually having to go down the route.
I wonder if that's the difference between 59-year-old bitter old man, because that's what they've made me. And I'm not that way in real life, but I am that way with my Browns fandom. I'm negative. I'm so negative about the Browns my fandom. And I feel like I wonder if that's the difference of just maybe 20 years more experience than both of you guys have. And are you going to be in that place if you have 20 more seasons to endure this nonsense? Will you ultimately end up in the place that I am?
Well, here's the way I think about it.
Because I've seen you close to tipping a few times.
Yes. I try to be a statistically driven person when it comes to certain things. I ask myself, how bad can you continue to screw it up? Like, even bad organizations luck across a franchise, like the Bengals, right?
Sure.
You got Joe Burrow.
And they had the pick at the right time.
Right, and they lucked up.
And we never did.
Some people luck into a coach. Some people luck into a GM. Some people luck into a quarterback. Now, statistics would show that if we've never seen a championship, and I'm already in my 40s, and you are older than me, year after year, something tells me that at least they can luck up into something.
That's exactly where I used to be. I used to say, okay, so there's 32 teams. So if everything was equal, every 32 years, each team would win. And here's the other thing that drives me nuts. There's only 16 teams in our way. 15 teams are in our way to get to a Super Bowl. 15. For a period of time, there were only 13 that were in our way. We've never even done the luck into it on every 13th or 15th year. And here's what makes it worse for me. The team I hate the most, with the exception of the Yankees, in all of sports, wins more than one every decade. Wins one. More than one every decade. So I have to watch. It's a juxtaposition. Mm-hmm. On one hand, you have not just a model franchise for 10 years or 12 years. The Patriots were a model franchise for 15 years because they had Tom Brady. The Steelers, even though they don't have recent playoff success, point to their bad year. They don't have them. This year they were picked last by more people than I.
Not by me.
No, I know. I never kick dirt on these guys. Bull's been trying to kick dirt on them for 3 years. I do it at your own peril.
One of these years, maybe you'd be right, but
yeah, that's
odds
what he
are
said.
you're not going to be right.
What's amazing? They're 6-2. They're first place, second best record in the AFC. They've done it with 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and Russell
And
looks,
to be
Russell
perfectly
looks
honest,
like MVP
neither
Russell
one of them
again.
look like a world beater.
and so my
So that's what also drives my anger. It's not just the absolute inability of my team to luck into one every 13 or 15 years. It's juxtaposed with the fact that the team I most hate, our hated rival, wins it all the time.
Listen, this league is designed for parity.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, like the league's designed for everyone to pretty much.
But we defy it on the bad side, and the Steelers defy it on the good side.
Everyone's. I mean, you could be 8-8 just by showing up. Every team should be around 500, but like those little things about, what makes the difference between getting from 8 to 12 or 8 to 11. Right?
Is it culture?
Yeah, it's culture. It's getting players. It's drafting right. Because the thing about the NFL that's great is that when you're bad, you get a better pick.
Yeah.
And the Browns have had
Unless you trade them away.
Great picks for so many years, first-round picks I'm talking about, number 1 overall picks, and they've gotten them wrong.
Yeah.
And when you get them wrong, it's almost like unbelievable how they could screw this up that many times when the league's trying everything to make you be better.
What's worse, not having a first-round draft pick like the Browns haven't for the last 3 years, or misusing it?
Honestly, misusing it probably is worse.
I think so too.
Because not having them means you use them to try and get something to make you better, which also didn't work.
Here's what I like to do. I like to try to find opportunities where a lot of people don't find those opportunities, right? And I go back and look at it, right? So the Browns have missed on a quarterback when they drafted first overall, right? They missed on a quarterback when they went and traded a bunch of money for another guy. They missed on that. I'm looking at the way the league is shaping and the way people are being successful. I look at the 6-2 Steelers and say, well, listen, they did it. People laughed. They went and got Wilson and Justin Fields. Sam Darnold's playing well. Somebody found Brock Purdy in the 6th round.
So those guys are out there for bargains. You just have to find them.
They're there, and if you got a guy, if you're solid in who you feel you are as a coach and a staff, and you got a guy in Jameis Winston who's sitting there. I always tell people, learn from what happened last year. This year we clamored for Joe Flacco because we saw what he could actually do. Now Joe Flacco is another place, and they talking about Anthony Richardson got to sit down. They just drafted him.
He's been benched.
Last year, first round.
Flacco has been named the starter.
So learn from your mistakes. Learn and say, we had him here. He has something to offer. He's better than a lot of these other guys.
I'm hearing whispers that they might be looking at Anthony Richardson.
Who, the Browns?
Yeah.
I kind of like Richardson. I'm not going to lie.
Listen, hey, if they get him,
He's a good player.
If they can get him for a lower round pick, sometimes I'm just saying, if you got a guy in Jameis Winston who's 30 years old and he has an arm, he has a track record of success in this league. If you can get him to play in a way where he minimizes some of the interceptions, I think that you got a top 10 to 12 type guy.
Is it possible?
They'll be anxious to get rid of him, too.
Is it possible, guys, that the Jameis Winston, and this is so early and probably like not even worthy of a conversation.
I know what you're going to ask.
The
question is very possible.
Is it possible that Jameis Winston could be what Geno Smith is?
Why not?
We had this conversation yesterday.
I mean,
I missed it. Sorry,
Sean King last week told us, look, you guys better be careful and don't put a ceiling on this guy. He knows Jameis well. Obviously, followed him closely at Tampa, but he knows him personally, has a relationship with him. And he said he thinks that Jameis was humbled when he was throwing for all those yards and touchdowns, but also interceptions in Tampa, he was replaced. And the guy that, now granted, it was Tom Brady, but the guy they brought in, one thing, you're out, you're in. They won a Super Bowl in the first year. That's very humbling. That's like if you leave your afternoon show and suddenly the ratings are
higher.
You'll be like, what the hell happened?
Damn.
Was it me? You're only human.
Yeah, you're like, what's the variable here? It was me.
What's the variable?
Right?
And for him, it was very clear cut. Now, granted, they brought in the GOAT.
Yeah.
But then he went to New Orleans, and I think he did sort of a career introspection.
Yeah.
And he, by the way, did you guys see the social media post of him going back to his childhood home?
No, I didn't see that.
Anytime Jameis is on camera, it's must-see TV.
Oh, my God, guys. It is incredible what this man came from. It is incredible. And the house is still in the family. His relatives still live in this house.
Wow.
And it's just, when you look at it, you have you look at him from a whole different light. This man, he didn't have running water.
It's crazy.
And he at one point took a drink out of a faucet that was outside, and he said this was the best water right here. And it's hose water. It's faucet water on the spigot. So the only thing is, when you drink out of this, you got to be careful of the pee over here. It's unbelievable what he came from.
Wow. I mean,
you look at him in a different way. That he's accomplished what he has is incredible.
Listen, I have I give the 49ers a lot of credit because they not only went out and got Jimmy Garoppolo, and you got Garoppolo, he took you to the Super Bowl, and they assessed that it wasn't good enough. Now, that's crazy for us.
I know, because it was close.
It was close. Then they said it ain't good enough. Let's go trade all these picks for Trey Lance. And then the realization was, this guy
not good enough.
Not good enough. So they did that, and then they identified a guy, and then just rolled with it. Was like, this is our best guy.
Mr. Irrelevant.
This is what we're going to do. And I'll give them credit for it because guess what? When you can do that, you sustain your window. They've been good for how long with 3 different quarterbacks?
That's a story Hollywood can't even think of.
You also earn the respect of the locker room from like a front office standpoint and coach's standpoint.
John Lynch walks in there like a boss.
When you make a decision to put the best player on the field that gives you the best chance to win, legitimately gives you the best chance to win, the players can rally behind that. They can be like, okay, we are trying to win, as opposed to being like, God, man, we're going out here. And you felt like, I guarantee you, the players in the locker room for the Cleveland Browns felt like they were guinea pigs. That they were going through this season like, you're going to use us to try and find out if this guy's any good?
Because
that's really frustrating.
Like, the players are always the first to know. And then the fans and the media see it. And apparently in this case, the last to know, and we're not even sure that they know because he had to be replaced. The last to know in this situation are the guys that should be the first to know. And you're right. I love that you juxtaposed this situation in San Francisco. San Francisco went all in on a guy that couldn't play.
Yeah.
And instead of compounding that mistake, as so many front offices do, I got to make my guy work. He's my guy. I've got to make it work. They keep trying to force square peg into round hole. The San Francisco 49ers said, no, we got to find a quarterback from somewhere. We don't know where it's going to be yet, but that ain't it. And they found him with Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft. Now the guy plays at a Pro Bowl level. They're still relevant. And in the meantime, the Browns would still be trotting number 4 out there, despite the fact that the players, the fans, and the media all know he ain't it.
As you see, sometimes I said it, that chess piece is no longer on the board. Either you can use that as a motivation and get better by it, or you can compound it. Hopefully they can keep getting better, and hopefully Jameis Winston can win this week, and then the Kool-Aid can start raining down from the heavens again. I got to wait, though.
On the heavenly bodies.
The heavenly bodies with the Kool-Aid.